Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Ann Emanuel. New York is cracking down on guns. Governor Kathy Hochul signing into law several new bills aimed at reducing gun violence. This includes banning anyone under the age of 21 from buying or possessing a semi-automatic rifle. The bills were passed by Democratic lawmakers last week and signed into law today. New legislation includes criminalizing the threat of shooting attacks, bans on the sale of body armor, and requiring licenses for the purchase of assault rifles. One law also requires new guns to be equipped with micro-stamping technology. This would help police trace bullets to specific weapons.
But the speed at which you got this done, no state has ever responded with the sense of urgency that has been on display over the last week and a half.
Gun rights activists are expected to challenge the new bills in court in the coming weeks. Congress is back in D.C. after a rash of gun violence across the nation, including this weekend. Key senators leading the bipartisan talks on a narrow package for gun control measures sound optimistic that now may be the time for action. Caroline Shively has more from Washington.
As Congress negotiates tougher gun control laws, shootings over the weekend in Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Michigan, and South Carolina left 10 people dead.
Do not come to Philadelphia, you're not safe. We just keep breaking records, and it's the wrong kind of records.
On Sunday, Chattanooga had its second mass shooting in just over a week.
There's going to be multiple shooters. We cannot confirm how many, but there's definitely more than one shooter.
A bipartisan group of senators is working on a modest proposal that would address red flag laws that can temporarily confiscate guns from those deemed a danger, and beefed up background checks.
I've never been part of negotiations as serious as these. There are more Republicans at the table talking about changing our gun laws and investing in mental health than at any time since Sandy Hook.
The House is set to vote on a collection of bills that would go much further than the Senate. Bills that would outlaw high-capacity magazines and raise the buying age for a semi-automatic weapon to 21. In the unlikely event they pass the Senate, they could face legal challenges.
I point to California. Maybe somebody thought taking away a gun from a 19-year-old is going to solve a problem. It happens to be unconstitutional.
President Biden has laid out his own proposal, but Senator Chris Murphy, one of the lead negotiators, says the Senate needs to do this one on its own. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
An ill bunny that was stolen from a Horseheads grocery store has been reunited with its owners. According to Turk's Produce and Flower Market Facebook page, Jupiter was stolen along with several other products from the store. According to the Post, David Cardone has been arrested for the crime and was charged with third-degree burglary. The Starbucks in Ithaca that made national headlines for its unionization efforts may be closing soon. The coffee giant announced its plans to close the College Avenue location, a move employees claim is in retaliation for its unionization plans. Workers voted back in April in favor of unionization, one of 3 Starbucks stores in Ithaca to unionize on the same day. Workers at the College Town location have organized an event to be held on Wednesday in which they're asking the public to place their order under the name Union Strong to show support for the workers. An ice cream shop in Ithaca has damage after a car crashed into its building early Sunday morning. Zoe Freer-Hessler of the Ithaca Voice reports that the car crashed into Purity Ice Cream just before 5 a.m. Kevin Sullivan, the owner of the building, said that the accident was fairly minor and there were no major injuries. Purity was closed at the time of the accident and no one was in the building. As movie blockbusters are arriving to the big screen this summer, a supply chain crisis is on the horizon for theaters and moviegoers. Lydia Hugh is at a movie theater in Brooklyn with the story.
It's hard to go to the movie theater without buying a big bag of popcorn, but now there's concern growing that this salty treat, it's going to get more expensive and harder to find. That's because with rising inflation and the cost of fertilizer, farmers might start growing less expensive crops like soybeans because growing popcorn might just be too costly. A major popcorn distributor tells me he's paying his farmers about 150% more now than he did before the pandemic, and he's had to raise his prices by 80%.
There could certainly be some segments of the industry that do not have enough popcorn like they used to, because it's going to be in strong demand, and the supply will be quite tight.
And the owner of this movie theater in Brooklyn, New York, tells me it doesn't stop with just popcorn. It's also candy, the cups, the plastic lids, even the bags for the popcorn. All of that's going up in price, about 10 to 15% over just a year ago.
It's the most important thing. Unlike with the movie, where you pay 65-70% out to the film studio for every dollar you get, when it comes to concessions, it reverses, and we keep 65% of every dollar.
That means the higher costs of concessions are eating into a lifeline for theater operators. Movie theater chain AMC says that food and beverage sales were its second largest source of revenue after box office admissions last year, making up about 1/3 of its total revenue in 2021. Now, for now, the owner of Alpine Cinemas here in Brooklyn tells me he's committed to not raising his prices at the concession stands. But given how much theaters rely on concession sales for revenue, the rising costs are really going to hurt as they're coming out of the pandemic. Reporting from Brooklyn, New York, Lydia Hu for Fox Business.
The most intense fighting since the war started is now taking place in eastern Ukraine, with both Ukrainian and Russian forces engaged in fierce back-and-forth battles. Mike Tobin has more from Kyiv.
Ukrainian forces are holding their own as Russia makes a big push to finish its occupation of the Luhansk region, key to taking all of eastern Ukraine. Much of the fighting centered on the city of Severodonetsk, where a fierce back-and-forth battle is being waged. Despite being outnumbered and outgunned, the Ukrainians are staging a counteroffensive, pushing the Russians back, though neither side controls the city at this time.
They want to start conducting more counteroffensive operations and reduce the Russian artillery so they can make some progress and take some territory back.
Here in Kyiv, officials are still assessing the damage after the first Russian airstrike in more than a month. It came along with a new message from Moscow, warning the West if it sends long-range missiles to Ukraine, Russia will escalate the war.
The longer the range systems supplied to Kyiv will have, the further we will push them from the line where they could threaten Russia.
Both the U.S. and the U.K. are sending multiple launch rocket systems capable of hitting targets up to 50 miles away. The White House says it will not increase the range of those rockets, but the weapons shipments to Ukraine will continue until the Russians withdraw.
Aggression left unanswered leads to further aggression. What we're seeing in Ukraine is aggression. In this case, it's not left unanswered.
Your complete forecast is next. Plus, some public officials are now examining whether gun detection technology can boost public safety. Stay with us.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Well, we have stayed a bit more quiet here across southern portions of New York. I'm meteorologist Alyssa Triplin, and we watched some higher level cloud cover work its way in, but there were some showers spreading their way across the Great Lakes into northern portions of New York. Now, we will see some of that shower activity return for our area as a cold front is going to be making its way towards the region. What we'll see is that your Tuesday is still going to start off with some of that sunshine. Cloud cover will increase, and then shower activity will be possible into the afternoon with some thunderstorms possible into the evening hours. Now, there may be a risk for some stronger thunderstorms. As of now, there is a marginal risk that is in place for Elmira and Corning all the way up through Syracuse. And the main threat with some of those storms, if they are able to develop along that frontal system, is just going to be some gusty winds, upwards of about 60 miles per hour possible. For the most part, it's just going to be some shower activity and a few rumbles of thunder is all that we're really expecting as that system shifts its way through. Now, it is going to usher us into some active shower activity as we head from Wednesday into Thursday. So note that you want to keep that umbrella handy. And then there is going to be some cooler temperatures as we we head into the weekend. We're looking at even falling potentially into the 60s for high temperatures, and that could be accompanied by a few showers. Now that pattern is still a little variable right now, so we'll continue to watch that forecast, but as of now it looks like it is going to stay active. So note, if you have any outdoor activity, do it early on Tuesday, as we'll see some early morning sunshine, but that cloud cover does return. We will see that frontal system move its way into the Great Lakes. A few showers possible there in the early afternoon, and then we'll have some evening thunderstorms possible to rumble on through and then clear out as we head into Wednesday morning. Lingering moisture will cause for some showers to redevelop as we head into Wednesday as well as on Thursday. Now accumulation not looking overall too significant. At least 1/10 of an inch, upwards of 1/4 of an inch could be possible. Where some of those heavier thunderstorms may develop, that's where we could see some of our locations potentially walk away with more than that 1/4 of an inch, as we're seeing some portions of northern Pennsylvania upwards of almost that half an inch. So some heavier rainfall in the mix at times, but even before some of those showers and thunderstorms move in, to mention, we're also going to see that cold front cause for some gusty winds, anywhere from 25 miles per hour across portions of northern Pennsylvania, to then even seeing the Finger Lakes having the chance to see upwards of about 35 miles per hour. Now the wind is really going to be warmer wind ahead of that cold front, so we're still going to have the chance to see those mid 70s in store. A few locations may be able to walk away with the upper 70s. It will all be dependent on when some of those showers and thunderstorms really are able to enter into the region. But we don't knock those temperatures down just yet. We have a chance to still see some of those upper 70s from Wednesday all the way through Friday. But you see that we stay under this active pattern of some isolated to scattered showers, maybe even a few rumbles of thunder. But the pattern doesn't really have a big change up until we can drop that system out of the region and we fall into those lower 70s as we head into Saturday and Sunday. As of right now, we'll keep some isolated showers and thunderstorms in that weekend forecast, but there's definitely going to be some adjustments, especially when it comes to timing as well as strength of these, before we will see maybe a drying but cooling pattern into next week.
Artificial technology and specialized sensors are currently being used to detect weapons on people entering some of the nation's sports stadiums and concert arenas. Now, in the wake of several mass shootings, some are asking whether gun detection software can help increase public safety in other facets. Ashley Stromier has more.
The mass shooting in Uvalde, Texas, triggering renewed calls for gun reform. But as lawmakers on Capitol Hill debate, the nation faced another weekend marred by gun violence, with at least 3 dead and 11 others hurt in Philadelphia Saturday night, and at least 3 more dead and 14 others injured outside a nightclub in Chattanooga, Tennessee Sunday morning. Solutions in the wake of such tragedies vary, but some local officials, like New York City Mayor Eric Adams, are eyeing gun detection software as a possible step forward, especially after a gunman shot at least 10 people and injured several others on a crowded Brooklyn subway car back in April.
Technology that could identify a gun. And I want to bring that, move it around in the subway system.
These tools are already implemented by Evolve Technology in hundreds of public spaces, including theaters, stadiums, office buildings, and schools.
The Evolve Express is designed to detect concealed threats as people walk through. We use a combination of advanced sensors and artificial intelligence.
After a person is scanned, Evolve's technology alerts nearby guards of any potential firearms and where they may be hiding on someone's body.
In the first 3 months of this year, we screened over 51 million people through our systems. And in that period of time, we detected and prevented over 10,000 guns from getting into those venues.
While increasing public safety is important, critics say it would be nearly impossible to effectively use this software in subway systems, citing the need for additional officers to work in tandem with the machines and other logistical concerns.
A tech firm proposes making armed drones to help prevent school shootings, but the move is causing some angry responses. Axon Enterprises, Inc. is considering making armed drones with tasers to help stop mass shooting incidents, such as last month's school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. Company execs have explored if the idea is feasible, but angry Axon's ethics board members have sent executives a unanimous letter against it, calling it, quote, deeply regrettable and dangerous. Axon executives say they just want debate on the idea for now and haven't committed to it. Elon Musk changing his tune on Tesla's hiring, Starbucks on the hunt for its new CEO, and Uber spilling the tea on some of the common and not so common items that riders leave behind. CJ Papa has today's business briefs.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk announcing the electric vehicle maker will be hiring more employees over the next year. This despite last week's email announcement that nearly 10% of the company's workforce would be laid off over a super bad feeling about the economy. Musk tweeting out, "Total headcount will increase, but salaried should be fairly flat." Meanwhile, Starbucks' next CEO will not come from inside the company. Former chairman and CEO Howard Schultz is temporarily leading the company. He tells the Wall Street Journal the coffee giant needs to add new talent and skills to its senior leadership. Starbucks hopes to hire a new chief executive by this fall. Uber revealing its list of most commonly forgotten items left in its ride-sharing cars, along with some of its more unique finds. Some items frequently forgotten include the usual suspects: phones, wallets, keys, glasses, and purses. But when it comes to some of the unusual items being left behind, that's where it gets interesting. The unique lost items include some tater tots, a fingernail, quote, "my grandma's teeth," and a Bernie Sanders fanny pack. Uber also revealing riders in the U.S. are typically more forgetful over the weekend, with Austin, Texas clocking in at number 1 on its list of most forgetful cities.
The latest medical data from the CDC shows late-term abortions, that's those happening in the second and third trimester, are not the norm. And while medicines are helping a growing number of women terminate pregnancies earlier, supporters fear an end to Roe v. Wade could restrict women's access to abortion pills and require many to go across state lines to get a surgical procedure, ultimately delaying their abortions. Ted Lindner reports.
According to the CDC, about 93% of all legal abortions take place within the first 13 weeks of pregnancy. Around 6% happen between 14 to 20 weeks, while less than 1% occur at or later than 21 weeks. But if the Supreme Court moves forward with its leaked draft opinion and overturns Roe v. Wade, some pro-choice advocates and healthcare professionals worry those statistics could change.
We know from research on places that have enacted restrictions that it does indeed push people out of state or sometimes 2 or more states away. And it also makes it more likely people will present for abortion later in pregnancy.
And while financing and planning for extensive travel can delay when someone may be able to terminate a pregnancy, women like Christina Taylor of Colorado are highlighting other factors that can contribute to later term abortions.
I had no idea anything was wrong.
Taylor was 20 weeks pregnant with her third child when she went in for an ultrasound.
As straightforward a diagnosis as it gets.
Doctors revealing tragic news. Taylor's baby hadn't developed kidneys or a bladder and most likely wouldn't survive being born. Because there are no limits in Colorado on when an abortion can be performed, Taylor was able to safely undergo the procedure. She says she's aware other women may not be so lucky if Roe v. Wade is abolished. Meantime, many pro-life supporters say life begins at conception.
I think it's wrong to say a person is 2 cells. They're not a human being yet, when scientifically, yes, they are.
Opposing abortions regardless of if they're performed in the first or third trimester.
If you're above a certain height, you may have more health risks. A new study from Rocky Mountain Regional VA Medical Center in Aurora, Colorado, says people who are above 5 feet 9 inches are at more risks for health conditions than those below that height. Researchers looked at 1,000 conditions among more than 250,000 people. Taller people had more risks for irregular heartbeats, varicose veins, nerve damage. People above 5'9" also had higher risks for skin and bone infections and blood clots. Well, besides giving your morning a jolt, there may be another reason to drink coffee. A new study says drinking coffee may lower the risks of acute kidney injuries. Researchers from Johns Hopkins Medicine analyzed more than 14,000 people for 24 years. They found those who drank 2 or 3 cups of coffee daily had a 23% less likelihood of kidney lesions. Analysts say they aren't certain if personal biological aspects or caffeine alone are the reasons why. Walmart is working with suppliers to maintain low prices for customers as shoppers continue to battle inflation. Walmart officials say the company is working with several distributors to keep items in stock. Walmart CEO Doug McMillon says the business is planning to reduce the prices of home goods and apparel, as will be ordering different packs or box sizes to help providers control prices. The company is also placing orders ahead of time to keep high quantities of products for customers. We want to leave you with a smile. A California grandmother finds thousands of dollars in cash stuffed in a couch she bought off Craigslist. Vicky Umodu made the surprising discovery after bringing home this sofa set, finding more than $36,000 hidden in envelopes in one of the couch cushions. Umodu says she didn't know what to make of the wads of money at first, but she didn't hesitate to return the cash, saying God has already blessed her with a healthy family. The original owners of the couch were so touched by Umodu's good deed, they agreed to pay for a new refrigerator for her home and gave her $2,200. It pays to be honest. From our whole team, thanks for joining us. We hope you have a great rest of your day.